Right then, only building the Royal Enfield Conti GT wheels. So first off, get the axle out, 2 big nuts on outside of it, undo them, nice and easy, and then off with the hub with the brake drum, and then knock the axle out. You have to knock it through to knock the bearings out one side, and then pull the other one out the other side. Then it's on to removing the tyre. So in with the tyre levers. Don't know what I was thinking with the rim protectors, but you know, gotta try and save the rim somehow. So lever the tyre around, start on one side and just lever it off. Find it's easier, you push the tyre to the centre of the rim and it makes it a lot easier. Then out with the inner tube, just pull it all out. This is all getting changed, so there's no particular care required to try and save the tyre. Once the valve's out, then again just stick the lever in and try and hoik the tyre over the rim. Once it's off, just pull it off and away you go, tyre will be off, job done. And same again with rear, just pulling the rear tyre off and then stripping the hub down. And after that you get to admire your lovely scabby rims and the state that they're in. Now all the chrome's just literally falling off these. They're completely destroyed. No matter how much Scotch-Brite you want to use, you're not going to save them. Terrible. So the next job we've got to do, strip front and rear wheels down to get the rims spoked out, so rims can go off to be chromed, hubs can get polished, new bearings, and we'll get brand new spokes for her. So what I'm doing here is just loosening all the spokes around the rim. Basically this is to try and save the rim so I don't tweak it and bend it too much before I then go ahead and cut the spokes out with my angle grinder. That's the hub out of the wheel. So once rim and spokes were separated, the hub went into the bead blaster, blasted it with glass beads to get rid of most of the corrosion, and then you're gonna on over to the polisher. Now I don't want a mirror finish on these, I just want them nice and clean and a good shine on them, and that'll do for me. I'm gonna ride this bike, I'm gonna use it and abuse it and enjoy it as it should be. So I don't need to sand it down too much, or I just want to polish it up nice and gently and get it to a good shine.
Now slowly but surely we're getting there. Now like I say, I'm not after a mirror polish. I'm happy with just a good shine, which I think I'm getting. So yeah, carry on for a bit longer and we'll get it. So after a bit of work, this is what we're left with. So front hub, not so bad. Just as a bit of a contrast. Well, like I say, I don't need it super shiny. Just a nice working shine. So here we go. So we've got the wheels all stripped down, obviously. The old rims are here. I've got brand new spokes, brand new rims, original hubs, new bearings, etc. Now these original rims could be saved. They can be re-chromed, can be polished back up. However, for me, it wasn't financially viable. The chromers want over £200 a rim to have them re-chromed, which is, maybe is fair, but I can get the same rims, brand new, re-chromed, from Hitchcock motorcycle spares for about 140 quid each. So for me, unfortunately, it's not financially viable. It's cheaper and more cost effective and also time effective. The chromer also had like a 12-week turnaround on stuff. So buying new means I can actually get stuff done faster, get the bike on the road faster. So that's what I've done.
So on with lacing the rims up. So start with one side of spokes from the outside of the hub to the inside, and then you go, I start at the valve hole or next to the valve hole, and they are directional and angled so you can see where the spoke is aiming for. So you do one, you miss 3 holes, you hit the 4th hole, and you just continue that around for the 10 spokes on this side of the hub. Then you flip the hub over and you go to the left hand side and do the same again, so outside to inside to the left hand side of all the spoke holes, and then you go to the left of your existing spoke that's in there already. Yeah, so once you've done that stage, you can then go from the inside of the hub to the outside of the hub, finishing one side of the wheel first, one side of the flange, and basically you'll see the direction it needs to go to make a cross in the spokes, and then find the rim hole that it lines up with. It is all really simple if you take it in step by steps. And then once you've done that, you've got 4 spokes left to lace up in the hub. So it's inside of the hub to outside, and then find the last remaining 10 holes in the rim. What you sometimes need to do, or what you need to do, is flex the spoke heads to relieve the tension on the outside spokes, like I'm doing there, and that makes the rim sit more centrally on the rim. Without that, you'll fight the spoke tension a little bit as you're building the wheel, which will make it harder for yourself. So now you've got all your spokes in the wheel, so it's a laced wheel. Now what I do is run around every nipple, starting at the valve hole, and turn the nipples down until you can see no thread on the spoke. So then all the nipples and spokes are under the same amount of tension. Some will be a little looser because the manufacturing tolerances, some will be tighter, but it gives you a good starting point, and that should hopefully balance the wheel in a up and down motion when you start to true it. Yeah, so here I'm just adjusting the tension on the spokes, so pushing down to change the angle of the spoke coming out of the hub to make it more into the direction it naturally should go. Basically, this means the spoke tension when you do that is actually pulling in the right direction rather than trying to bend the spoke to where it wants to go. So now on to spoke in the rear wheel. So exactly the same as the front wheel for these. So they're both 40 spoke wheels, both laced in exactly the same way. These are nice and simple. Both flanges on the hubs are the same size, so you use the same size spokes front and rear, and they're both centrally dished as well. So the rim sits in the middle of the hub. So it's nice and easy to spoke them, lace them, and then also true them in the end is also easy. So you can see at this part of the wheel lacing process, I'm actually fighting the wheel a little bit, and that's because I haven't bent the spoke head at all, taken the tension off the spoke head, so it's holding the rim in a weird position off the, there you go, so then I break the, or release the tension on it, and that makes the wheel sit a lot more central. So it's and once you've got the wheel all laced, then I take the nipple again, and wind it down so there's no thread showing on the spoke. So every spoke and nipple goes down to the same point. Again, to try and centralise the rim on the hub to make truing easier later.
And then, just like that, you've got two laced up wheels. Stay. It's already looking pretty good. So up and down movement is minimal. We've got one kick there, but on the motorbike rim, that's not going to matter. I've checked it's running central on the hub by flipping it over. So now we just need to true it up. So I'm going to go around. We'll get rid of the loose spokes first. Just make sure everything's flipped up. Like we've got some that are not doing anything at all at the moment. So I'll start with the valve, and then.
Yeah, so like I just said there, if you're happy with the up and down movement on the rim on the wheel, then you can just take the spoke tension so they're all even aground. If you're not happy, you need to find your high spot and your low spot on the wheel and basically half it, if that makes sense. So you find where it's furthest away from the center of the hub and where it's furthest closest to the center of the hub, and you adjust them. So you'd loosen the one that's loosen the nipples on the spokes that are too close to the hub, and tension the ones that are furthest away to bring the rim more central on the rim, and then start again. And it's just a process of making it slow and steady. But I find if you do the nipples up to the end of the threads to start with, that's a good starting point. So once you're happy with your up and down movement on your rim, then you go into your left and right, side to side movement, and making sure the rim on these particular wheels is sitting central to the hub, which makes it nice and easy. So basically I'm just tensioning all the spokes, putting even tension around it, constantly checking the left and right on my little gauge that's down by my left hand, and that just shows me how far away or how close to that point it is. After I've done my first tension, then I'll flip the wheel over and check it, make sure it's still central. If it's not central to the hub, I will then pull it to the side it needs to go. And it literally is as easy as that. You're just checking your spoke tension, making sure you don't have any loose spokes, and then once you've done that, you're going to ride the wheel for a little bit, and then you'll be doing a retension later anyway. And then straight on to assembling the rear hub with the cush drive. Now this gave me a little fight. So all the bits on here are in good nick, so I'm just reusing them, but just assembly process. There's probably some hints and tricks you guys can give me on this one, because it was fiddly. Trying to line everything up, slot them in the right places and drop them together. As you can see, it gave me a good little fight putting it together, but once I finally got it all lined up, slotted it on the hub. I need to do this prior to truing the rear wheel, because I need it to centralise everything on the hub, because the hub itself is not actually central. The hub is central, but the accessories on the outside, so the sprocket, the brake drum, the speedo drive, means it's not central, if that makes sense. I think that was a pretty terrible way of explaining it, but I think once you do the job or see the job, it starts to make a lot more sense. It's just the way it all lines up. So the hub itself has a slight offset on the axle sizing, but not when it's all complete. And then getting the sprocket, cush drive all fitted to the hub. Now this is a Royal Enfield design, probably the same as a lot of other British bikes as well, where the actual sprocket, if you were to change the rear wheel, you can leave it on the bike. So what I'm tightening up there is actually just some bungs with nuts on that sit inside the hub, and you can pull them away, leaving the sprocket, the brake drum and the chain on the bike, and remove the wheel itself. Then after that, in goes the axle, which I was a numpty and didn't realise that you have to put half the axle in first. So then I'm taking off the nut off, the internal nut off the end of the sprocket, and pulling out the bearing, putting in the new bearing, and then half the axle goes in here first. This enables it to stay in the frame when if you're changing the wheel for a puncture or anything, and then the other half of the axle slots into this, and it has a thread inside it which locks it all together to make one complete axle.
Right, so for the rear wheel, it doesn't fit in my truing stand. My truing stand's for bicycle wheels, and because of the width of the hub between the axle, it doesn't fit. So what I've actually done is bolted the rear, or clamped the rear swinging arm to my table. And I'm going to use some welding wire to make my gauges, so I can see the run out and the run out in both directions, side to side and up and down. So then I can true the rear wheel, and get it complete. So we can have a full set of wheels.
So here we go, making some little gauges just to measure all the offsets, the runouts of the wheel. And it's dead easy. This is just aluminium TIG wire and just bent to shape. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like most things in the motorbike car world, there's a special tool for everything, but you don't always need it. You can make your own and you can get by.
So what I've done is got two pieces of wire. This one is to set up my up and down run out, and then this one I'll do my side to side. I need to just measure the centre of the wheel, make sure I get this true centre, and make sure I'm happy with everything, and then I can use those as my references to build the wheel off. And if I need to adjust, I can just bend the wire, move the clamps, etc.
Yeah, so like I said, on this bit, just measuring the centre of the wheel, making sure the rim is running central to the axle, to the hub, and then meaning the bike will track straight once the wheels are built and once the bike's built. And then when I've found a point on the rim or on the wheel where I'm happy that it's central in the forks, or as close to it as possible, what I do is put a piece of tape on there which tells me that's my reference point. So sometimes you use the valve hole, sometimes somewhere else. So I just put a bit of black electrical tape, tells me that's the bit that was, when I first started building this wheel, in line and central with the hub.
So line there, right. Where's the valve at? Find the valve hole, and then we're just going to screw everything down so it's just touching.
Yeah, so I made everything so it's just touching, and then I was just adjusting the up and down run out of the wheel, make sure it's running true to the centre of the hub. So tightening one side of the wheel, loosening the other to bring it more central. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, but just think of it in a logical manner and it's dead easy. Then once again, if you're happy with the up and down movement of your wheel after that, just remove any loose spokes by just nipping them all up, not putting any tension on, just wind them down until they touch the rim, and then double check your central on your hub, make sure you're where you want it to be, and then you can start your truing process. And yeah, just work around doing your spoke tensions, making sure they're all nice and even, wheels running nice and true, and that you're happy with it. You are going to have to re-true these wheels after 100 mile or so. I say re-true, adjust them, just to make sure your spoke tension's correct, because things will move a little bit as you're riding it. It's just normal with spoked wheels. After that, you could spoke freeze them and lock them in place for good if you really wanted to, but spoked wheels, once you've got them even tensioned, are super strong, super good. And you can give them the old tap 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 test and see if you hear any dull notes. They all should sound exactly the same, a nice tone, and then you'll know that they're all about the same tension. And then once you've done that, you're on with putting a tyre on it, and you're done. So first off, obviously the rim tape, slot that on, nice and easy. Valve all goes in one place, makes sense, doesn't it? And then on with the tyre. Now, I used a bit of silicone spray here to just spray the side of the tyre. If you do this, you really have to clean the tyres well after, but it does make them slip on really easy. So there you go, no tyre levers to put on the new tyre, just literally a bit of silicone spray and on it went. Then in when you're in a tube, start of the valve, all I always do, put a little bit of air in it just to keep the shape of the tyre. For me, this helps with not nipping it. Yeah, and then just feed it all the way around. Once you've got it in, valve in, nut on the valve so it stays in the hole and in the right spot, and then you'll be on with tyre lever and the tyre on, nice and easy from wherever you want. A lot of people start at the valve. I don't really mind where I start, but yeah, I don't like to finish where the valve. That's my main bit. And on she goes, nice and easy. I use a knee as well on the table just to help me steer it in place. Again, make sure that you keep pushing the tyre to the centre of the rim, as that's the deepest part, so it makes the tyre the most baggy. Once it's on, pump it up, let the bead seat, and make sure it hasn't pinched on the rim, and away you go. And that's your two wheels built and done, nice and easy.
Thanks for watching me rebuild these wheels. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any comments and anything you'd like to see in more detail, just let us know. Please remember to like and subscribe to see where we can take this channel. I've got some ideas for the future, where I want to take this channel, and ideas to hopefully help some of you viewers out with some of your bikes as well. So thanks for watching. See you next time.
Just a little add-on from me. I am going to be putting the brake fairings on and finishing off the wheels in a later episode, so stay tuned for that.